Okay, Cityman 2 has two follow-up questions. He wants to know how he can apply speed control to his multi-camera clips. And then also he wants to know what is the proper way to add additional videos or images to an existing multi-camera without messing it up. So to answer those questions and a couple of others, here I've set up a day's worth of driving with multi-cameras. In my case, I used two separate cameras, but I obtained three different views because the one was a 360 camera, so I could get two frames out of that. So I won't bore you with how I created all of this, but I do want to touch on a couple of common issues that we see many users have problems with. When you're using multiple cameras, it's quite likely that you're not going to start those cameras at exactly the same time. And that creates the issue of failed synchronization. So how can we deal with that? Let's take a closer look. In this first segment here, we can see that I start out with a single camera. And in the video, we can see that I need to start the second camera. And then once that's done, I now have three camera angles that I can use that have been synchronized. And so I'm using all of the same three cameras here. But let's focus on this part here. Clearly, there's a long section here where I'm talking and I'm getting the camera ready, just explaining what I'm doing. And it isn't until much further in that actually the other cameras are activated, or the other two camera angles. Okay, let's just reproduce this one issue here. So we have number 38, which is one of the camera angles, and then the other two camera angles came out of these first two right here. And we will just drag them down here, and we're going to keep the project settings in this case. And this is one camera angle, this is the other. We can clearly see that in that first video there that I'm messing around with the camera, trying to get it going and so forth. And then you can see that at this point here in the video, I am now going to start the second camera. Okay, if we simply get these three clips together and we want to create our combined clip, it's going to fail. So let's just do that real quickly. Okay, so we can clearly see that our synchronization failed, even though we know that these were taken at exactly the same time. So how do we fix that? Now, even though it failed, of course, the message said go in and fix it in here. But, and you could do that, just double click it and so forth. But we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to try to make it work the proper way. And so let's just use Control Z until we've undone it. And here we can clearly see that I forgot to start the camera before, or start the second camera. So now I'm going to listen for something. And there we go. But once I got both cameras rolling, there was one distinct sound, and that was the clicking of the turn signal. There is 1, 2, 3 times that it clicks. So we can just play that. I'll shut up and we'll just play it again. Okay, those are very distinct clicks, and we can use those basically to line up. But what we know for sure is that everything in front of this isn't going to go because well, we can maybe clip it here where we think they will start. So we will leave that as a separate clip. And then we will take our other two clips and we will move them over and we will activate them. We now have them situated fairly close to each other. And
there we go.
There we go.
We're off on.
Okay, we can see that they're a little bit off, but let's try and do a compound clip here. Okay, so we see that we have them synchronized. We will take a look at it. We got them close to each other. We have it beautifully synchronized. So, and what we should be looking at is this one here compared to either one of those other ones. And we can see that indeed it's perfectly when they go around the corner. So the point of this exercise here was that if you have a failure in synchronization, take a look at your start point and cut off the excess of the longest one at a point where it's fairly close at the beginning of the other camera angles, and you will be successful in making synchronized video clips. Okay, we're just going to delete these ones that we have right here. We no longer need them. Let's get back to the project. So the two questions for this exercise was, how can we change the speed on the clips that are boring so we don't lose our viewers? Because when we select a multi-camera clip, we will notice that we do not have the speed things. All we have here is video, audio, and color, and it should say speed right there. If, for example, we take a regular clip like this, then up here we get this little caret and we see speed. If we select a multi-angle, okay, don't double click on it because that just goes into it. But if we select a video clip, a multi-camera video clip, you notice we do not get the option to add speed. So if we just have a few areas that we want to add speed, and again, don't double click on it like I'm doing. I'm so used to double clicking just to move the playhead into place. One quick way to do that is to just make it into a compound clip. In other words, we only have to select one thing, but we can create a compound clip, and once it's is packaged inside a compound clip, we will now have the option to change the speed. We could then scrub through our entire project, selecting each multi-camera clip that we want to speed up, convert it into a compound clip, and change the speed to something that is super fast. Before we address the speed issue, let's just address the second question that CityMan 2 had regarding using static images. And I didn't have any static photographs, but it works the same way. You do not put anything inside a multi-camera clip. That is synchronized material. Nothing else belongs in there. So how can you do it? Well, you simply add it to the tracks above. And in this case, I use some simple arrows in order to point out things which I'm talking about on the camera. All right, so we have our solution for how we can add speed, or one of two solutions for how we can add speed control to a multi-camera clip. And the creation of the compound clip is what made that possible. The other thing to be concerned about are these static images. You don't want them moving around. Now you can take your images that belong to a particular clip, like for example this one, and all of these arrows belong together, or potentially if you know you got everything in place, you can just go ahead and select them all and then create a compound clip. But for the example here, I'll just take this one, and you know, we can use our mouse. We left click and drag, and we select the things we want to be in a compound clip. We create the compound clip, and now those items are contained within the compound clip, and they cannot be messed up if some other change is made on the timeline. I'm going to just undo it again, because what we're going to do here for this particular project is a little bit different. Okay, there we go. We just eliminated our compound clip. So And the other thing that you could possibly do, okay, here's a multi-camera image where I wanted to zoom in on something. In other words, I have the camera angle, but I really want this to be larger. So I use keyframes in order to enlarge. And I did that with the use of just the scale and position. And anyway, this is not a tutorial on how to use keyframes, but it's something that you can apply to your multi-clip before you do anything else with it. That's not to say you couldn't do it later either. We've covered how you can add a speed control to a single multi-camera view. And we've also discussed how you can add static pictures outside and potentially also use keyframes to enlarge something. Now let's talk about how we can put one speed control for the entire project. What we're going to do is select everything but these last four here, because I'm saving that one for the end. Okay, we're going to do all of these, and that is everything that we have on the timeline except for those last four, and we're going to create a giant compound clip. And there we go. That's our compound clip. Our whole thing is now on one track. Now, how do we add speed control to various places in there? And it's very simple. Now that we have this, we can, again, I should be over here. You know, another way that you can see this speed is just simply by making this wider. To add a single speed control to the entire project, you could add a speed ramp. And they have a bunch of preset options that you can use here, but the customize is the one you want to use. So now you can scan through different images, and here, for example, is that long montage here, or I'm just driving along, and we want the speed here to be faster. Well, this is our speed, and these are our control points. We can add more keyframes or control points, whatever you want to call them. And if at a certain point within this sequence we want to add a freeze frame, we can do that also. So anyway, this is the speed times one, or one speed. So in this particular thing here, when we get here, it's useful to have a control point right at the spot that you're sitting at. This is where you're at on the timeline. Now you can move the timeline, and as you do, you can see that this red arrow moves. But let's get back to this particular one right there, because what we want to do is we want to move just a couple of frames over. We can use the arrow keys on the keyboard until we see this turn into a plus sign here. And if we make it larger, it will be easier to see. And let's see. Okay, we moved it over far enough. We now have another plus sign. We add that in here, and we're going to drag this up to 10 times the speed. And that's going to speed things up significantly as we're going along. And we're going to want to run that for all the way until we get over here. And the reason my screen is blanking out is because of improper selection of frame rates. It's not anything that's going to affect it in the end. So anyway, we're probably up here somewhere. And what we want to do is we want to take this one. We're going to drag it up and over to the spot where we want to stop. And we could go as far as this. So now what we've done is we have now speed ramped this one spot. And if there were any other parts within the clip, we could then just scrub through it and say, okay, where is something else that I want to make go faster? Maybe this little segment here, or whatever it is that I want to go faster. I can simply do that. I'm going to go back, get off this, get that plus sign back on. Okay, we're not getting it, so let's move this right there. We'll add another plus sign. Now we can drag this one up to our 10 time or 5 time or whatever it is that you want to speed it up to. And then we can just move along. In this case, we were going through the roundabout and back out on the street. So we can add another speed frame right here. We'll take this one, move it over, and then we'll move a little bit, and we will add another one, and we'll drag it down. So here then are basically the two options for how you can do speed. You can either do a uniform speed change, like so, where you go to speed and you change it to whatever it is, and that may work best for CityMan 2 because he just wants to speed up particular ones. Just click on that individual clip, change the speed, be done with it. But if you want to be fancier in ramping up speed, ramping down speed, you can use speed ramping and you can apply it to a complete video at one time. So these are your options that you can use.